God has a history of using inanimate objects to fulfill his objectives. For example, the staff of Moses or Aaron, I'm not sure who it belonged to, initiated many of the plagues of Egypt. Moses later hits a rock with his staff and water comes out. Later, the Israelites are plagued by poisonous serpents. Moses raises up a metal snake on a pole, and anyone who just looks at it is healed. In the New Testament, Christ wipes mud on a man's eyes to heal him. Paul uses a handkerchief to heal people. Going back to the Old Testament, the Israelites used two stones called the Urim and Thummim, or in Hebrew, Urim and Thummim. I hope I said that right, meaning lights and perfections. According to Bible.org, which is not a Latter-day Saint website, mind you, most scholars believe the Urim and Thummim to be two sticks or stones, perhaps precious stones, that God used in a miraculous way to reveal his will. Obviously, these objects have no power in and of themselves. It comes from God. But if you're a Christian, God's use of everyday objects, like rocks and sticks, should not be surprising. They were used anciently, but let's also take a look at how inanimate objects, in this case seer stones like the Urim and Thummim, have been used in more modern times. Joseph Smith took the ancient golden plates of the Book of Mormon out of the ground in September 1827. But the stone box contained more than the plates. There were two stones in silver bows, and these stones, fastened to a breastplate, constituted what is called the Urim and Thummim, deposited with the plates. And the possession and use of these stones were what constituted seers in ancient or former times, and that God had prepared them for the purpose of translating the book. Finding a Urim and Thummim wouldn't have been too surprising for Joseph because he actually already owned at least two seer stones. One he found in 1819, it was white. The other he found in 1822 while helping to dig a well for his neighbors. That one was brown. We even have a picture of that one, but as you can see, it just looks like a rock.
But it's a rock.
I know it's a rock!
Just as Moses' walking stick looked like a walking stick, except when it was busy being a snake. Initially, Joseph used his seer stones to help people like Josiah Stowell in 1826, without much success, to find buried treasure. A personal bucket list item for me, but that's beside the point. Sometimes Joseph gets a bad rap for his history of folk magic-y stuff. I frankly don't really care. I mean, Paul in the New Testament was an accomplice to the murder of Stephen before he found the truth. Turned out to be a pretty solid guy, though. Historian Richard Bushman quoted one of Joseph's friends, Alva Hale, saying that Joseph told him that the gift of seeing with a stone was a gift from God, but that peeping, seer stones in relation to folk magic were also called peep stones, was all darned nonsense. He'd been deceived in his treasure seeking, but he did not intend to deceive anyone else. By this time, Joseph apparently felt that seeing with a stone was the work of a seer, a religious term, while peeping or glass-looking was fraudulent. Joseph started translating the Book of Mormon in 1828. Initially, he used the Urim and Thummim. Later, he switched to one of his other seer stones, and eventually, as he became more experienced with revelation, he wouldn't need anything at all to help translate. Joseph had multiple scribes, including his wife, Emma Smith, Martin Harris, and Oliver Cowdery. David Whitmer, who was a witness of the existence of the golden plates, explained how the seer stone would work. A piece of something resembling parchment would appear on the stone, and on that appeared the writing. One character at a time would appear, and under it was the interpretation in English. Brother Joseph would read off the English to Oliver Cowdery, who was his principal scribe, and when it was written down and repeated to Brother Joseph to see if it was correct, then it would disappear, and another character with the interpretation would appear. Now, when I work on my laptop, I like to work outside, but I oftentimes can't because it gets so bright outside that I can't see my laptop screen as well. Apparently, Joseph had a similar problem with his seer stone, so to block out the light, his simple solution was to put the stone in a hat. Kind of a funny image, but what works, works. This is what he'd do for hours at a time, an average of 8 pages per day. His scribes say Joseph had no reference material around him, no secret pre-written manuscript pages stuffed in his hat. If you want to believe the Book of Mormon is a fraud, which you are certainly free to do, you've either got to believe that his scribes were in on it, which in my opinion makes no sense if you look at their history and circumstances, or Joseph perfectly memorized his secret manuscript and then rattled it off seamlessly to the scribe. But anyways, now you know a bit about seer stones, how they were used anciently, how they were used by Joseph Smith. If you have questions, drop them in the comments, check out the links in the description, and have a great day. Joseph perfectly...
There is no such word as perfectly.
Wait, there isn't. Why am I trying to say perfectly? Or Joseph I said perfectly again! Perfectly memorized his secret manuscript and then rattled it off seamlessly to the scribe. I can't do it anymore.